Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix, and today we are taking a look at Transformers Legacy Evolution Leader Class Prime Universe Skyquake. I picked this figure up over at the Big Bad Toy Store. We are going to start out this review in vehicle mode because that's how the figure is packaged. And I just want to start there because I love this jet mode. Hasbro has managed to make an absolutely gorgeous jet mode here. The overall aesthetic of the jet mode is very nice. The back of the jet mode has 3 thrusters, and it looks absolutely fantastic on the shelf, on a flight stand, or in hand. One of the things I love about the jet mode is just how sleek of a jet it is. There isn't a ton of robot kibble. There are obviously legs down here, but they work for the overall profile of the plane and the fuselage. The only real complaint I have is, given the proportions, this thing could not fly. And that's simply because the wingspan is not long enough. There's not enough wings there to provide the necessary lift for a mass of this size. But this is a toy, so who cares? Now, the big green elephant in the room for the jet mode is that it's not exactly what the jet mode was in the original Transformers Prime television show, and I'm okay with that because I kind of like this better, as opposed to that very modified F-35 that Skyquake and Dirge, was it Dirge? I think it was Dirge, are in the show. I much prefer this flight mode because, well, I think it looks better. I think it looks more futuristic and more Cybertronian than what we got before. I really do like it. The only thing I don't like in this jet mode is these. These little things, they tab in, but they pop out so easily, which is a shame. Okay, I guess I'm just going to glue them back in. As you can see, the plane has landing gears, 1 in the front, 1 or 2 in the rear, and then it turns into a nice, sleek jet mode. It can fit on a flight stand, but you have to remove the gun first. And the gun is nice, it's big, it has this flip-out handle so it can be held in robot mode differently. It's so good! And my buddy Grimlockamus has already customized this into Machine Wars Starscream, and it is mwah! The other accessory the figure comes with is this clear plastic sword, and I wish this thing wasn't clear plastic. To get this to flip out, there's a little notch here you could get your nail into in the back that flips out, and you get this little sword. I do appreciate the inclusion of a flip-out sword, dagger thing, but I wish it was painted as opposed to clear plastic. I hate this trend of clear plastic in accessories. Stop it, Hasbro. As promised, once you remove the gun, you can then plug in a flight stand. There we go. It's flying! Oh. Okay, the screws on all of the little flight pieces I have, well, they're all too loose to really hold this guy up. He's just too heavy. It would have been so much nicer if there was like a flight stand port right in the middle to, you know, balance the thing. I'm not saying it's not going to work, just my poor flight stands are old enough that it just can't hold the weight. Now, for the bulk of this review, I have had the rear wings in an angle. That is not correct. They are supposed to go straight. Now, I wanted to talk about this because this is the only weird thing about this figure in this mode that I don't particularly like. When you move these, they make a cracking, snapping sound that is really not pleasant. I don't like that sound at all. It does make the profile of the jet look better. I can't argue with that, but oh, that doesn't sound good in the least bit. Skyquake does have a fusion mode other than, you know, his weapons plugging onto the bottom. You take the rear tail wings, fold them down, grab yourselves a needle nose, and then needle nose plugs right on top. And here we go. Fusion mode. I don't understand what the point of this is. I'm wondering if we're going to get a heavy retool of both of these guys, or repaints, as maybe Starscream and BB, or Dreadwing and Smokescreen from Transformers Generation 2. I don't particularly care for this because it's kind of dumb. It would be better if, you know, the cavity opened up and you could plug Needle Nose into the back like the original figures, but you can't. You have this weird space shuttle carrier mode thing. It's silly. Transformation time. Come to the very front of the vehicle mode just behind the cockpit and flip out the air intakes, and they will hinge outwards. Grab the very front of the nose cone and peg it, or flip it down and underneath, come to the main wings and flip them up to unpeg them from the sections that will be the legs. Come to the back of the vehicle mode, and where the side thrusters are, grab those whole sections and rotate them down, and then fold them out, and then grab the rear wing, flip it up and around, and it will peg into place in the back of the leg, and then fold out the toe. So on the other side, grab the rear section, fold it down 180, flip out the leg at the lower knee, grab the little wing, flip it around, fold it up to the back of the leg, peg it into place, and then flip out the toe. Come to the underside of the jet mode, grab the arms and fold them up, and then split them apart and fold them out and flip them kind of all the way out like that. Come to the rear of the vehicle mode, and those pegs that pegged into to needle nose, grab them, and then you can use that as leverage to split the back of the vehicle mode open. And take these little pieces and fold them around like that. Once these sections are flipped up, turn the legs halfway, then come to the wings, and the wings will hinge forward like this, or I should say backwards along the back of the vehicle mode. And then you could finish turning the hips around. The entire chest will slide down on this little slide arm. Now that we've got these pieces flipped back, I like to actually bend them down a little bit so that we could grab the entire front nose cone, flip it down, and that gives us some clearance to flip the entire backpack up in. And this part is just fiddly. You just have to fiddle with it until you can get the nose cone into place, and it is supposed to peg into place. There's in here, let me see if I could get a light better. In there is this little slide, this little protrusion that this part of the nose cone will slide in and attach to, but it's not easy to line it up. This is the hardest part of the transformation and requires a little bit more force than I'm really comfortable with. Now that we've got that done and we've got all the bits where they need to be, it's just a matter of cleanup. Fold the shoulders out a little bit, bring the shoulder pads into place, fold the arms down, straighten out the head, turn the legs at the thighs so that they are pointing in the right direction, and then take the backpack and just situate it so that it is flat against the nose cone, and then close up the backpack section, and these two clear parts will peg into place like that. Lastly, fold out the fists, and then reach inside, and there's this little panel that will fold up and peg into place, and actually it's supposed to peg into the opening there at the wrist, like that. Look at this lad. I mean, just look at him. He's big, he's got presence, he is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, this is what a leader class figure should be. The molding on the figure feels wonderful. The figure in hand feels great. The overall aesthetic is just, I love it. Now, there is one major issue I have, and that is the lack of heels. You can flip the thrusters out a little bit to give him a little bit more stability. It doesn't always work. That's my only real complaint. That's it. He's a little top heavy too. Otherwise, I just love the look of this guy. Head is on a ball joint and can look all around and look up and look down. The figure's head sculpt does have light piping, but for the life of me, I cannot get any light to go through into the eyes. Nothing I do seems to work, but it does work on the chest, which is silly. I do love the head sculpt. I think it's very nice. It's not exactly Skyquake, but it is a close enough rendition of the figure or of the character that it just works really well. And let's face it, it's been a while since we got a Skyquake figure at all or any mention of the character, so most of us have forgotten what he looks like. Shoulders are on very tight joints. The forward and back is fine. That's a swivel. The hinge moving in and out, You could hear that ratchet. That is incredibly tight. There is an upper bicep swivel, but good luck trying to get it to move without moving the entire shoulder in and out. I have not been able to figure out if you can actually lock these shoulders into place. I just haven't found a place or a way to do it yet. Yeah, he's got a bit of a hollowness in there. There's nothing I can really do about it. I've been trying to figure out if I could collapse the backpack a little bit better, or if I'm missing something with the transformation. No, I looked at other video reviewers and it looks the same for them. Back to the posability. Hips swivel. Then they kick forward on ratchets and kick out on ratchets. Thigh swivel. There are two knees on this figure. There is one up by the thigh, or in the thigh, and then there is the transformation bend. And then the feet do articulate side to side a little bit, and tiny little bit of forward and back on the toes for the transformation. The gun is very easily held in both hands, and given the absolutely crazy amount of range that the shoulders and the arms offer you, he can hold it easily. I've been able to get a couple of cool poses going where he looks like he's just waiting for you to gun you down. Using a figure stand, you could get it so it looks like he's walking with it, like somebody from Doom or from the original show. The overall aesthetic that we end up with works well. It's just, you look at it from the side when he's holding the gun and the illusion kind of falls apart, but straight on, or even from the back, it looks fine. The sword, on the other hand, only works with the left hand. You can put it in the right hand, but that would mean that the sword would be turned around, so the blade is facing the wrong way. And that is because there is extra plastic to act as a guide. So let me see if I could zoom in and show you this. So you see that extra bit of plastic right there. That slips in between the figure's fingers and allows the sword to be held in hand and not slip around. Now, I'm not saying that a backwards sword like that isn't a bad look. I just prefer the blade being faced the other way. Now, if you want to get to more show accuracy, you can actually just flip the figure around. Flip the wings back to the way they go when you transform it into jet mode, and then turn the other bits around, and you've got a slightly more show-accurate mode for Skyquake. You have a giant hole in the front of his chest, but hey, you have options. Size comparison time. Leader Studio Series The Fallen. Leader Dragon Megatron. Commander Class Rodimus Prime. Leader Laser Prime.
Galvatron.
Grimlock, Slug, and Sludge. If it isn't already evident, I like this figure a lot. I think this is a fun figure. Yes, it's got some flaws. Yes, it doesn't have any heels. Yes, there is a giant gap inside the torso. I don't care. I still like it. I think the transformation is interesting. I think the fact that you can have two different robot modes is fun. I think the figure looks good. It is a wonderful shade of green, and it just feels fun. And that's what these toys are all about. So what else is there? Other than to say, let me know what you think of the figure down in the comments, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.